It's a little different today. It's a little different today. Welcome to the Shine Your Light podcast. I'm your host, Lachelle Hooks. Woo, 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 woo. I'm getting my woo woo back, y'all. Getting my woo woo back. It's a lot of power in my woo woo woo. I am so excited to be here. I see you, Tone. I'm so excited to be here today. Yes, you are. We're going to be talking about and dissecting a lot of different topics. We're going to title the show, Tone, Fun Time. I want to title it Fun Time because we're going to have some fun today. Okay? Nice and easy breezy and nice and fun. Okay? If I got some lipstick on my teeth, I need y'all to tell me. Okay? I wanted to pop out my red lipstick, but sometimes you know how it be. So I'm going to actually have our guests introduce themselves today. I look so little. I don't know if I can, Lord. But okay, we're just going to keep it. We're going to keep it rolling. It's a little different today. We're going to keep it rolling, y'all. We're going to start off with the beautiful Queen Simone. Go ahead and introduce yourself, girl.
Hello. Second time on the show.
Woo, woo. More to come. More to come. We got a special request for you. Okay.
But my name is Simone. I'm here to speak, like I always say, to the women, especially the women, the young women, I should say, our youth. Like I always say, it takes another woman to talk to another woman about her problems. And that is what I am here for.
And I'm so thankful to have you. And I know everything you say is going to register with a lot of women in our audience. So thank you for being here, girl.
Thank you.
Powerful, beautiful woman of God and queen. Amen.
Thank you.
Amen. Woo, 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 woo. All right. And who's our next guest today? Next guest?
I'm Donna Alicia. And I'm crashing the podcast
today. Yes. Thank you, girl.
I like Simone. I want women to hear, but I also want men to hear. And I think me growing up with a lot of male family members, different things, I have a perspective being kind of in the middle, hearing the male perspective, being a woman.
So come from a place of understanding on both sides. Yeah.
So just, I don't know, translate a little bit or something today.
Okay. It's going to be powerful. I'm ready for it. I'm here for it. The men y'all better listen up too, okay? Because it takes two. It takes two. And speaking of the men, one of the kings in the building, I'm going to start calling you king of podcasts pretty soon. You've been here so much. Thank you for coming back.
Always.
So I want to introduce yourself, King.
All right. I'm Tyler Guy. A plethora of things. They call me Mr. Etc.
Whoop, whoop.
Right.
Stop touching stuff. Stop touching stuff. Just stop.
Listen,
I need the whole thing.
Energy. Listen. All right, y'all. So I want to speak about several different topics that are very dear to my heart. Now, even though I didn't grow up at all, in a fairy tale land, my childhood was very far from anything near a fairy tale. But I've still always had faith that God would give me my fairy tale. And when I say fairy tale, I simply mean the things that I truly want for my life, the relationship that I want, the family that I want that I've never had, the career that I want, the woman that I want to be that's pleasing to God. Okay. That is my fairy tale. But when I speak like that as an adult, grown Black woman, a lot of times I'm hit with, it'll never happen. I want a man that doesn't cheat. All men cheat. You know what I mean? I'm hit with that type of commentary often, typically from other people in the Black community, especially Black women.
Black men don't cheat, by the way. Just want to add that.
I know a couple though. I know a couple.
Black
I'm gonna
men
get
don't
them on the
cheat.
show too. Accountability is everything. You know, to your testimony. I gotta see where you at. But I want to ask y'all, you know, about y'all fairy tale, or what you would consider to be your fairy tale for your life. What type of relationship? I'm gonna start with you, Simone. What type of relationship would you ideally want to have in your life? What type of person? Go ahead.
Again, the fairy tale word for me is very much PTSD.
Why, girl? Why?
It is a trigger for me. Okay. I'm not gonna say I grew up in a fairy tale lifestyle because I didn't. We still had problems and all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
But I will say that my parents raised both me and my younger brother very sheltered.
Okay.
So everything that we had was altered by mom and dad. So I was the only girl. I was the oldest girl. I grew up daddy's little girl. So it was like everything was just don't do this, don't do that. The man's gonna come in and he's gonna talk to dad first, and the dad and him's gonna get along, and then you guys are just gonna get together, and he's just gonna save you from this life and take care of you for the rest of your life, and it's just gonna be great, and you're not gonna have to do anything. And that's how I grew up.
Just raise the babies.
Yeah. Then I grew up 18, 19, hit the real world. And yeah, the real world is not at all that. You're running into problems and you have to deal with relationship problems. My first real relationship was horrible because I was so unready and I thought that I was ready, and I just ran into all of these problems. And I remember when I had my first argument. And in my mind, I'm like, oh no, he's gonna leave me, he's gonna break up with me. He was supposed to be good and just great for the rest of our lives. And it's like, no, it's not like that. So I guess now I will say I haven't really thought about another fairy tale relationship. I would say my typical relationship would be more so being able to communicate effectively. I do plan on being in church, serving God. So I would, of course, want my partner to do the same, have a relationship with God, a real relationship with God. I plan on having God in my life for the rest of my life in everything. I would guess being able to raise the kids correctly, being able to see eye to eye, being able to be successful, whether it's doing something small or doing something big. I don't know. I haven't really thought too much on it, to be honest. But
let me ask you something. Being raised in a very sheltered space, it basically gave you a lot of very high expectations for your mate, especially if you was daddy's little girl. Okay. It sounds like having those issues with somebody who probably wasn't raised the same kind of lowered your expectations.
I would say I wouldn't necessarily say lowered.
Okay.
I would say it crashed them.
Okay.
So it was more so of a awakening.
More of a reality.
Yeah,
like
reality check. Yeah, okay, the real world doesn't work like this. So now I have to unlearn everything I learned being sheltered and learn that the real world doesn't work like that.
The reason why I say that is because when I look at you, I want your expectations to be so high because of what I want for you and because of what I know you do deserve. And a lot of times we have these different situations where we kind of let things slide from people because we know ain't nobody perfect. But you don't deserve nothing that you don't dish out. If you dish out a certain level of love and a certain level of loyalty and respect and honor to your mate, you better not don't allow not one little bit lack of that, you know what I'm saying, back, less than that back. So
I agree. I will say right now, I think the reason that I haven't thought too much on it is because right now I'm in a state of trying to get myself at a certain level.
I love that.
So I feel like
Self-love
once
is
I
the
get
best
to
love.
a certain level, then it'll be like, okay, now whoever is going to be, I know for a fact that I'm here. So I need you to meet me here because I know I'm here. So
Yes.
I feel like that's why I really haven't thought too much on that.
Lord, help me pick her husband. Please. Let me pick her husband. He gonna be fine, girl.
Watching right
Exactly. Exactly. So thank you so much, Simone, for sharing that beautiful story. And I truly believe that you're gonna have everything that God wants you to have. Why?
Mhm.
Because you're in alignment with it and getting in alignment. Amen.
Amen.
That's the biggest
Amen.
thing right there.
All right. Amen. Ain't it
All
dope?
right.
You can't be right because he be dropping blessings down. We be all the way over there,
Oh,
Lord.
man.
I be trying to run and race to get back.
Right here, Lord. Just move it a little more
Just
over to
love
the
it.
side.
Thank God for grace. Thank God for grace. All right, beautiful, Donalisha.
It's on me now.
Yeah, what's your fairy tale, girl? We got the beautiful natural queens in the building today. I love
Yeah.
it.
All right.
Yes.
I'm over here listening to Simone and trying to think if I even have one too. I think coming up, I was not. I mean, I was sheltered in a way. Very much so wanting certain things to be outside of my environment, but that was only part of my childhood.
Mhm.
I did have the very apparent issues and things with my parents and domestic violence and different things in the household. So I would say my fairy tale probably was just better than theirs.
Amen.
That's kind of
Amen.
where
Breaking generational curses.
so just coming up, that's all I was really thinking about is I didn't want what I saw,
Mhm.
and anything that was better than that was kind of the fairy tale. But what that means though too is that my bar was also kind of low because that shouldn't have been ground zero to begin with.
Right.
So I think it took some time for me to even realize that, and that's come in recent years, and just kind of being more drawn to or used to struggle of.
Mhm.
And I feel like a lot of people in our community will go and tell you, keep on keeping on in your relationship because there is this fairy tale where whatever it is you're venting about, whatever it is you're clashing about, all of that is just going to work itself out. Like magically,
Mhm.
y'all going to live happily ever after, especially if you've already chosen somebody, because some people get married and then they stick it out and they stay.
Mhm.
Even if they realize there are some bumps that are maybe about to tear up the car.
Mm.
Some people stay in these long-term relationships and then it does not progress, which is very similar. You're giving all your energy to those things.
Yes, girl.
And it just it's more and more people that were older than me perpetuating those things and calling those, that's the way, that's the fairy tale, that's how we get to what it is we want. So having that partner that's going to stick around, having a family is part of the fairy tale, right?
Yeah.
That I'm not saying that's for everybody, but I'm
Right.
saying that's the way it's fed to you as well.
Mhm.
Having your career as a woman is not really prioritized as something that's important, but I am an engineer and it was important to me
Black queen
to be able to
engineer.
have that. And so my fairy tale has evolved over time, and it is something that you asked me this question at a time where it's really being shaken up in my life. Right now, I think that it's being redefined.
Mm.
I like that word.
And that is coming from me working on myself and getting that self-worth and just starting to pour into me more.
Yes.
And when I started to do that and started to ask myself, what is happiness? I think a lot of what I realized, I was on autopilot and I was moving toward what I was supposed to be going toward. And that fairy tale is something that was fed to me. So I think balance is a very important thing for me in a relationship. And I don't know, fairy tale may sound like it shouldn't be a real thing, but it can manifest.
Oh, yes.
You can achieve it and be positive and open to exploring that. But I would want balance in a relationship. It is about accentuating each other's strengths, not clashing with one another. Because one person is succeeding does not mean there's not room for the other to succeed.
Yes.
Amplifying that as a partnership is very important, and I don't think a lot of people understand what partnership entails.
Facts.
So partnership is definitely the key factor for me, because along with that comes communication, comes with alignment of your dreams and aspirations, comes with encouragement of each other's strengths.
Yes, God.
So yeah, this is what I'm exploring right now.
Yeah.
So the fairy tale is constantly being rewritten and redefined, and that's where I am.
Should.
Yeah, I
As it
agree with
should. I'm so glad, so happy, so thankful. I just want to highlight this. When you spoke about how the type of household that you were raised in, a lot of people kind of get into that repetitive cycle, and this is what they're used to. So when they're exposed to it, it feels normal. And that's one of the messages I want to get out to these people. That doesn't have to be your norm. Okay. That does not have to be your norm. Another thing I wanted to highlight is when you're talking about manifestation, the law of attraction is very important. What you think, how you feel, what you focus your thoughts on, that's what's going to manifest and present itself in your life. So we really have to focus our thoughts not on what we've been through, not on what we've seen, but what we want, people. You know what I'm saying? Manifestation. Thank you so much, Queen. I love that. Thank you. Yeah, they teaching y'all today. I hope y'all listening. They teaching me too. Okay, King Ty. Ty, the guy in the building. I don't know if you can top that though. I don't know if you can top that. So
I don't believe I'm gonna top it, to be honest.
No, go ahead, King. What is your ideal fairy tale? Now, there's a lot of women that want to date you, so I'm pretty sure a lot of women are listening up right now. Ty the guy.
So, pretty much how you presented it, in a way that when you were growing up, you kind of seen things, right? And I was a big observer growing up, which in large part why I did not do drugs, because I seen the effect that it had on people around me. Like she said, in large part, it was like, I see this and I know I want to be better. That's it. I just know I want better for myself. So I kind of geared towards working on that more so. And kind of how you put it towards the end, fairy tale for me has been always ever changing. The more that I've grown within myself, the more that it changed. I thought that I wanted this, and then I felt like I obtained it, but it's not what I thought.
Right.
You know, so I kind of, okay, well, let me work on myself and get here and see how this works for me.
Yes, Lord.
So right now, my ideal, I want to say relationship, is I'm looking for a woman who can actually cover me. I've never been with a woman who presented that in that way, but I've always found myself covering her. Me being married before, I've always felt this way. I remember telling her one time, I said, I don't trust you.
Amen.
And it wasn't in large part I didn't trust her to be with another person or anything like that, because her loyalty was always respected in that regard. But just the essential things, the covering me. And I don't think that she understood the fight that I had. I don't think she understood the fight that I had going outside of the home. There was actually a time where she opened the door and I was on my knees because I felt that defeated in that day. And I just cried. I crawled inside the house. And for most women, right, you, especially a wife, right, you would think that would trigger something in you. You know, you see your husband down like this and you don't know what's going on, etc. But like it's not what I've expected, you know, or thought it would be like that type of support, you know. So
ladies, listen up.
It always changed for me. And that's pretty much where I am right now. I pay attention to how women interact with me. The patience. I think patience is so important when it comes to this. So I'm going to gear this off of me because I had a question for y'all too, and a question for you too.
Let me highlight something before you say that question.
Go ahead. I want to hear it too.
What's funny is all of y'all, you know, said the same one thing when y'all shared your fairy tales, and I was kind of waiting to see if you was gonna say it too. All y'all talked about pouring into yourselves first. All y'all talked about self-love first before, you know what I'm saying, getting to anything else. So I just wanted to highlight that, which is like the main topic and everything of what this show represents, you know, that self-love first. Loving yourself. When you love yourself properly, that's when you have the ability to love the people around you properly.
And
I've
I
learned
think I think with me, because I was gonna say that too when you said what you said about covering,
Mhm.
and even you get talking about your experiences. I think with me, my biggest thing was when I did grow, and like I said, I got into the real world and I started experiencing, and then I had to go through my whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
and grow from that. Me looking back, I look back on my parents' marriage now and all the things that I thought was this and that, and it was right and it was this. And now I'm starting to pick and choose what I want to take from it, what I don't want to take from it. And I think the major thing that at this point I don't want from it is feeling like my dad always had to be the one to, I don't know how I'm going to say
Like
it.
filter out people.
Like he always had to be the one to heal my mom.
Okay.
But my mom never really healed.
Okay.
So there was a lot of experiences that she had growing up. I can say it, but like molestations and abuse. And because of that, me being the only girl, like we had a routine. It was so bad. She was so hurt and she never healed from it to where she started to pour those fears into me. So now when I come in the house, how was your day? It was good. Did anybody touch you? Did anybody say it to you? Did anybody randomly talk to you? What's your no-no spot? Did anybody, like, it was that bad. And this was every day of my life. So I think now I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I don't want to be with someone who feels like they have to heal me.
Right.
Or feel like they have to treat me a certain type of way because I have all these traumas. And I think I picked that from what they were saying too.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's my main thing right now, which is why I'm focused so much on making sure I get to a certain point.
I love it. I love it. I hope they listening up, man.
I agree with what you're saying, and just a couple with something that Ty said. And once you get to a place where you think this is where you want it to be, but then you get it and it's not exactly it, and that to me comes with self-discovery, and that's a big part of life in general. Like, we can't be so focused on a relationship. I believe that you should want a relationship but not need one.
Exactly.
And you get to that place by making sure you as an individual are rock solid. You as an individual, maybe you don't necessarily you have your independence, but independence does not necessarily mean that you can't take a step back from things. You can yield certain things for a partner to be able to step in, do some things. And even if you are capable of doing something, that doesn't mean you're the best at it.
Right.
So that's how you come together with someone else and figure out how you find that balance with each other. But you have to first kind of work on yourself. And I can say from personal experience, that was not what happened. I did meet so I am separated from my husband, but I did meet him as a youngin, you know, and we grew up with that all these influences on what we should be doing, and we started our family and everything. So with that, we definitely lost ourselves as individuals. We focused more on making it and being very reactive and kind of pushing the relationship forward, but the individuals were not strengthened within our marriage. And that's not to say that you can't do that without pulling it apart.
Would y'all say y'all wanted the same thing? Like, y'all big picture, y'all fairy tale, was it very different of what y'all wanted? Did y'all grow to learn that?
To be honest, I would say that he hadn't really thought about what his was.
He was just following your lead?
Yeah, I think, well, I think at a certain point, maybe following my lead, because I was more, had an idea at least, but he maybe didn't have one and was open, you know, and if you're open, you don't really set your your standards.
You can go any which way.
Yeah.
Kind of. Okay.
And I may have had some set and then
Get back
found
over
out,
here.
as he said, found out, oh, that's not what I really want. So he was following me and I didn't know where I was going either. So
Right.
you know, that's kind of where we were.
Okay. It sounds like there's a lot of hope for that union, though. He was next. No, he didn't. Wait till I fight in the spirit, y'all. I'm gonna be fighting this one in the spirit in a second. But no, it just kind of sounds like there's still hope for that. If that was like, you know what I'm saying? If those were the main type of issues, y'all were still discovering yourselves because y'all were so young, you know, coming together doesn't mean that eventually y'all won't line back up with each other.
I do think it does just depend on now actually figuring out what it is that we want as individuals.
Yes.
And if that is
you
the
appreciate
case,
it more when you get it.
Yeah.
Yes. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
So I think one of the main reasons that you kind of experience what you experienced being 18 and getting out into the world is because you discovered that it's a lot of other people out here that ain't like you.
Yes.
Don't.
Well,
You
I think
yeah.
like I used to tell, because I had like best friends and stuff in high school.
Yeah.
And you know, being the sheltered girl, like, I was
Everybody
a
just
sheltered
as sweet
I was a
as you are.
sheltered church girl, everybody.
Yeah.
So that just gives you an idea.
Mhm.
My life was church over everything.
Mhm.
So being that and having friends, and your friends are like, well, why can't you do this? Well, why can't you come over? Well, why can't you go with us? Well, we're just going to a
I
party.
want to.
And
Mhm.
I think even going through that, it was slowly showing me a little bit, but not enough.
Yeah.
So I kind of was getting a little bit of an idea that,
Mhm.
okay, there's people who are not like me. But I think my overall awakening came when the world was just open to me.
Right.
And so now I'm running into all
Not
these
people that's
people.
lying.
Yeah,
These people that's
like-
manipulative.
Like,
These
what do you
people that-
mean? Like I said, my first relationship was so bad because I think that in my mind, I assumed that if you're getting in a relationship with me and I'm getting in a relationship with you, then we want to be married.
Right.
So I'm going to treat you
Like
like
my husband.
how I would treat my husband. So I'm like, okay, like I'm in, what do you want to do? Okay, you said you want to go play basketball. Okay, cool. You want to play basketball at this school. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to look and see what jobs is in that state. Like, that's how invested I was.
Yep.
Until I'm realizing, like, okay, this guy is really not. He's
was
not
the
looking
same.
for forever. Like, this is really just a now thing. He's got this and this and this going on.
A lot of men
like-
didn't have their mothers growing up or have like good nurturing mothers. And so they look for those traits in women.
Yeah, and I always say, me, I know who I am genuinely, which is why I fight so hard.
Mhm.
I am that nurturing type. I'm
Yeah,
the nurturing,
me
I'm
too.
the
All of us
soft,
are.
I'm the
Yeah.
I know I'm that, but I've definitely gone through things that's hardened me up,
Mhm.
toughened me up. And so now I think my major thing is just understanding when to be that and when to not be that.
Yeah. Because we have to, and oh my goodness, Annalicia, because you clearly were like the nurturer in your relationship. We have to, as women, kind of step back to see if men can even walk in those shoes. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? If they have what it takes to be that leader that we ideally need them to be. We're not going to respect somebody that don't. And we're not going to look at them properly as they need a woman to look at them if we don't. So now, Ty, the guy is back in the room. I don't know if he remembered what he was gonna ask the ladies or
I
not.
actually do.
Yay!
Shades on first.
Go.
Oh, you about
He's
to be
gonna say
shady.
something
Okay.
shady.
I'm gonna sit back. This Ty
All
show. Go for it,
Y'all
Ty.
still on fairy
Let's see if
tales,
we
right?
can catch it.
We on whatever you want to be. No, I ain't turned the car yet, so go ahead.
So the question was, right? Because we speaking of fairy tales, right? Why do
He too cool for school.
When-
Everybody got time.
most women have these fairy tales that they don't leave room for conflict?
Oh, we finna get into that.
Oh, so you want to
Yes.
switch the card? That's what
No,
you
go
do.
ahead. Okay, well, let me ask you this. Okay. You want the fairy tale, right? You said we don't leave room for content. So what's required? Go ahead. What's required to get the fairy tale? I wrote down discipline. You know what I'm saying? But what's required to get the fairy tale? What we not leaving room for? Go ahead. Tell us, man.
I mean, I want them to answer
Representing
the
all
question.
men. Oh, go for it.
So
I'm a hush. Go
why
for it.
don't you women leave room for conflict when having fairy tales?
I would say, and you know, I'm always gonna throw it back for both. I would say it is both male and female that probably could give a little grace when looking at what a fairy tale they have in their head is. I think that, and so one thing that's very important to me is asking why. I'm an engineer, so why the behind the scenes matters a lot. So for me, with fairy tales, I think a lot of that is perpetuated by society. And I think once we start having it placed in our mind and told, look at all the Disney princesses and all of this, the way that it's laid out for what a woman should do, it's almost like that became your life goal and your aspiration. It becomes a part of what it means to do something right, to do it right, to live life and have some goal or objective that makes sense. So just getting so focused on that mission, I think allows people to be distracted from what the whole purpose is, and developing that fairy tale is really about the person you're looking for and what you can make out of that relationship. So I think it's tunnel vision a lot of the time, and a strong amount of pressure that kind of comes with making that part of people's identity. So that's my opinion.
I think it's kind of hard to like be and it shouldn't be, but sometimes it's hard to like be your best self in a relationship and become that ideal woman that's doing the cooking, cleaning. She's, taking care of her husband mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, all that good stuff. If he's not doing the same, that's when a woman starts to kind of pull back in her efforts because the male is not satisfying her needs. Why should I be cooking for you every day and you can't even boil a hot dog for me every once in a while? At least an egg or something. I can't get no boiled egg, Lord. But but go ahead.
I want to ask
room for okay. Follow-up question.
Okay.
So with what you just said, right? With
who you talking to? I was looking at Jesus.
So with what you just said, in terms of, right, the woman's doing all these things, right, and she feel like the man isn't returning that, right? Where again do you leave room for grace? Because again, relationships in its totality, we understand now that it's not going to always be that up and fairy tale way. There's going to be a time where your partner isn't going to be able to pour into you.
I got something for you.
Okay.
I got something for you. Take them glasses off so I can look into your soul. I need to see your soul. Okay, first of all, thank God for grace. Okay, because we absolutely have to extend the same grace that we want from God to get in that position to get his blessings. We have to extend that to the people around us. Absolutely. But there's this thing that I call foolish faith. Foolish faith. And foolish faith is sometimes when we have faith we shouldn't have faith in a person, first of all, but we have faith in certain things, that things will work out how we wanted to. We've extended that grace. They did something that didn't go with how we thought things should be. They did something that wasn't good for the relationship, right? But we got faith that it's going to get better. We got faith that they can change. The question is, do you see progression? The question is, are they acknowledging that they did mess up? Okay. Are they apologetic? Are you seeing progress? If you are not seeing progress, that is foolish faith. Okay.
I have a thing. I don't know.
Go ahead. I felt the spirit on that one.
All of us.
Right.
Go for it. Listening.
That just my bomb went off in my head.
Wait. Okay.
I think I connect that to fear. Because a lot of So a lot of what's being said, like I said, I look back on relationships that I've known, whether it be in my family or friends or anything like that, or even my own. It's fear. Okay, let's start with family. So growing up, like I said, I grew up sheltered.
Mhm.
So growing up, I seen relationships. My fear is that I get in a relationship that is exactly like my parents.
Mm.
So now I'm doing the cooking, doing the cleaning, doing the nurturing, doing all of those things. And the man is working and coming home and working and coming home, but there's no relationship between the two. My fear is that I get in that repetitive cycle.
Mhm.
I've been taught to just stick it out as a woman, make it work as a woman, do what you have to do as a woman.
Mhm.
And so now it's a fear of, okay, if I come and I express my feelings, is it me not being a woman? Is it me not doing what I'm supposed to do on my end? Am I going to be a problem? Am I going to be a reason this doesn't work out because I didn't do what I was supposed to and just make it work and let it happen?
Right.
Or even in what you were saying, as far as, okay, now it's getting repetitive. Do they acknowledge that they're doing something wrong? Are they acknowledging that they need to grow and they need to maneuver? Now it's okay, what if they acknowledge it, but they're still doing it? So how much grace do I give? Now
Can I
I'm
ask you
afraid, am
something?
I going to be in this repetitive cycle for the rest of my life?
I'm gonna ask you something. Being in that position, feeling that way, you know what I'm saying, in that position from your partner on a day to day, you doing the dishes, you still feel this way. How would you say that would affect you, your emotions, and how you operate in a relationship? Are you going to be happy every day? Are you going to want to cater to that man every day? So now it's negatively affecting you. And then if it's negatively affecting you, it's going to affect the union as a whole.
Yeah.
A part of walking in your power, like she said, is effectively communicating. Now, we don't have to communicate in a argumentative way. It's just, you know what I'm saying, baby, is you gonna rub my feet today? Now, if he respond back, oh, I've been working all day, then that is foolish faith. Because you know what I mean? Because he obviously is okay with how things are. And if you're not, then you're selling yourself short. You know what I'm saying? And it's just gonna keep wearing away at you and your happiness. And then eventually it's gonna fall onto him anyway. So somebody gotta stop the cycle somewhere. I love that though.
Yeah.
That you would.
Yeah, I've acknowledged that. I mean, even about myself specifically, I feel like I'm still working through a lot of fears, a lot of, I wouldn't say regret, but a lot of, I don't want to be that. I'm trying my best not to be that.
You're such a beautiful woman, and you have such a beautiful spirit. You're only going to draw the best things for you towards you. You just keep your focus on the things that you want. And I know, brother, I know, family, leave room for the grace and, all of that good stuff. And we absolutely have to. We are all human. So we have to. But at the same time, it's all about what you see, what you see in the beginning. So,
Yeah.
And I believe in large part when we speak about grace, right? We understand that we extend grace to those that we see that worth with. Now, and there's some people though that don't have the worth yet, that do need that grace. But we got to have that discernment to be able to identify who's who.
Let me ask you something. Do you feel like it's the woman's job to elevate a man on that level? Or should we as women be with men that have already done the work to get to where they need to be to even have a wife?
I believe that that's a both part, because for one, of course, men need to be where they need to be in order. The responsibility that we're going to have, you need to know who you are as a man, where you are as a man, in order to even carry that responsibility, your role. And same thing for the woman. It's you have to understand where you are as a woman. And I believe that's why we have so many issues today, because nobody is spending time really loving themselves. I remember having a conversation with someone that I'm close with, and I asked her, because she was kind of expressing about some of her experiences, how she felt what's going on. I said, right now, right, if I was to take your soul out of you, right, you can talk to your soul, right, and you can ask your soul, have you been doing what you're supposed to been doing for you? Would your soul say yes? She was like, no. then you wasn't truly loving yourself.
Mhm.
I remember sharing some recently when I said that I pray for the things that are not of this world, the essential things for the spirit, because that's what's really pouring in yourself is. You're first spirit before you're anything else. Before you was consciousness and mind, you were spirit. And that means that you're pouring into yourself. It raises you up a certain way when you know who you are. It's no matter what a person can do to your body. It's no matter what a person can do to your mind. When you know who you when you know who you are, you can walk in that. You can walk in that essence. And I believe that's the biggest thing that we're missing today when it comes to relationships, men and women coexisting.
I need you to hold a seminar. And the reason why I say that is because I think it is, just as my personal opinion, y'all, which you don't beat me up, y'all, about my personal opinion. But I really feel like men should be helping other men to get to that level. You know what I'm saying? I think that's y'all job. It ain't easy. Yeah, I'm sure it's not easy because a lot of men have these egos or they won't listen to nobody else. But more than likely they'll listen to another man that has established something over, listening to us. We see that what's needed for these men. We have them nurturing spirits. A lot of times we want to be what is needed for these men. But I think, in order for us to really respect them on a certain level, they need to be on a certain level, and to get those ingredients that they need to really be a man, sometimes it just comes from other men. So I could see him doing a seminar, for men, empowering our men, especially our Black men. They go through so much. They're beat up so much in this world. So they be too tired when they get to us. They be too tired at the time.
And it's crazy because I think right now right now for me as a woman, like I said, I'm growing and I'm getting better. I'm maturing.
You're great,
and
Queen.
I want to pour that love into you. I want to help you. I want to build you up. But I definitely feel like right now for me, that's something that I'm dealing with is just that fear. Okay, how long do I pour into someone before I leave them as a lost cause?
I feel like you should be practicing patience and patience in a sense of watch what they deposit into you, and then in your spirit you'll know what to deposit, when to deposit yourself, because a lot of times we give our all, but you need to see, don't try to prove yourself to nobody or nothing, you know what I mean? Just be patient and watch how they operate, how they feed you, and how it edifies you first, and then God will show you.
I believe that's a selfish take.
Put these glasses on. Put
these
glasses on.
I have a slightly different.
Go ahead, Queen.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So the way that I have looked at different things when we are not aligned in a relationship, I look for three things. And it's like you got to pass the toll gates, the levels in the situation. And the first one is accountability and awareness. That piece right there, if y'all are clashing, it may be that y'all don't even see the situations the same, that y'all don't have the same expectations in the situation, and therefore y'all may never align there. So you have to first communicate on that level to make sure the person is aware. I don't think anybody should be expecting to be with a mind reader. That's absolutely disrespectful. So
who you talking to?
I was like that, and this is accountability for me, because I was absolutely like that. You should know better. Why I gotta tell him? No, you should know, but they don't be knowing.
I used to be like that too.
Because we talk about how we came from so many different walks of life. How are you going to expect somebody to see through the same lens that you have? So you start with that piece and go from there, because once we've communicated, the expectations are there. Now there's no reason for you not to at least try and attempt, which takes to the second thing that I look for is effort. because you're
That's
not
the
going to
biggest one
get
right there.
things
Yeah.
right the first time either.
Yeah.
And even if you think you're doing the thing that your partner said, you got to go. That's you end up in a cycle of, okay, is this what you asked for? Okay, I brought you the moon. It's like, nope, I said I wanted the star. But and then you kind of going back and working that out. But you see the effort, and the effort needs to be acknowledged just the same way as you quickly acknowledge what they're not doing.
Yeah.
You know, you have to give. That's giving grace. That's
Ooh.
bringing it all together.
Who wants to be told what they're doing wrong all the
Yeah,
time?
you have to encourage and uplift.
Yeah.
And be very careful in observing as to whether or not, when you are given that encouragement, did they start to slack off?
Exactly.
Did they take a step back? Because then that's on them at
Yeah.
this point.
Ooh.
But effort can only get so far, which take me to the third, which is results. Because you can't keep trying for a whole 3-4 years.
You gonna
and
be my
you
life
don't get
coach.
nowhere.
Mhm.
So it's like, set some standards and some understanding for yourself, what you think where that person is, and how long it's going to take them to get to where you're hoping they can be. And just watch that progression. But that's where you give grace, is in that effort space. And where you give understanding is in the accountability and that communication in the first place. But where you get the results, and when you have to evaluate them, that's what lets you know whether or not this is going to work or it's not going to work.
Exactly.
So I have a question. So my question in that, right? Because that definitely opened up a whole lot in my mind. So I'm gonna start using that for myself in a lot of different relationships. But so my question is, how do you know when it's been too long? Like, do you go by
I feel like when you
just
drain,
what
when
they
you're
are doing,
feeling
or do you
drained.
go by when you're drained, when you can't give any more energy? Like, do you allow yourself to get to that space where
That's a
you no
hard
longer
one.
can give energy?
That's a hard one, because it's not a set thing. There's no set thing. And that's where I would say you definitely cannot find yourself in a cycle. That's where you definitely know.
Read
that-
that one. What that say?
She gonna choose me. She, no,
We
I
read it now.
Repeat lesson cycles.
Cycle.
Yeah.
Yes, we be learning the same lessons over and over again. Go
And-
ahead, Queen. I just want to let y'all know God is lined
God
all
is-
this
Yeah,
up.
we are on the same
Yes.
wavelength.
Yes.
So you can't find yourself in a cycle, but I do know that waiting until you're drained, it's usually when you start acting crazy yourself.
Right.
You get the
Yeah.
now you just like everything making you snap and all of that, and you getting outside of your character. So that can't be the turning point, but you do have to have a level of patience. So I definitely would say, once you get to certain points that you have looked and assessed the situation of what you're asking, either one, you have to accept what it is what it is, and move forward with it. And that means you cannot be complaining and saying all the and blowing up.
Because people will stay and beat you over the head
Mhm.
every day. Toxic,
Right.
toxic.
So if you accepting it, then you accepting it. But if you're not accepting it, then you got to go back to it and kind of have that conversation and leave that room to understand why it's not progressing, because there's usually a reason. And if it's your partner that's taking advantage of you, because you can enable bad behavior.
Yeah.
We can dig our own holes and be mad that we holding the shovel. But I think it's like you have to go back and talk to your partner and leave the outside noise out of that type of conversation. But getting perspective sometimes along the way can help you figure out where you are in yourself.
Powerful.
I wanted to add to something that you said, because I believe that in most cases, this is how people lose themselves. They become overly invested into what the other person is going through, right? And then they stop pouring into themselves. There's no way you can lose yourself if you're continuously pouring within yourself. And it helps you to be more patient with the person, because you don't feel like you're being taken from you, because you're doing your part individually. And I was like, when you said what you said, because let's get back to the foolish faith. What is faith? Faith is the substance of things hoped for,
and
the
the
evidence of
things
things
unseen.
right?
Amen. Won't he do it?
So is it?
Hallelujah. Oh, go ahead.
So no, you're right. We can do that. We can
Praise,
do the hallelujah.
praise.
Thank you. Because isn't faith foolishness to anybody else outside who don't not believe in God?
Oh
right?
yeah.
They call them crazy, right?
Right.
Foolish for believing, right?
Right.
Because we're hoping for things that is not seen to us,
Right.
that's not revealed to us, right?
Mhm.
So all through the Bible, I think this is probably the first time that I kind of got this revelation about faith. It was when Jesus, the blind man approached Jesus, right? And he said, do you believe, right? And have faith. The blind man said,
Ooh, we
yes,
was
right?
talking
I
about
believe,
this.
right?
Yes.
And everybody else, is looking around, right, to see what's about to happen. Jesus did something that would not make sense, right? I don't care how much faith that I have in today's society. I doubt that anybody would allow Jesus to do this, no matter how desperate you are. And I'm just speaking about the people who's watching, because I remember seeing a preacher who done this just as a demonstration, and social media was disgusted. So
Somebody did. Ain't nobody got time.
he did it for us. He did it as a demonstration, and everybody was disgusted within itself, right? But they missed the message, just like everybody else around when he performed it. So basically,
I gotta know the intent behind it. I gotta know the whole
Jesus took upon, right, he spit in his hand, right, took the dirt from the ground, rubbed it within the man's eyes, right? He said, what do you see? He said, I see man's walking as trees. He placed his hand upon him again and said, what do you see? And he's seen clearly from that point on, right? In most people cases to now, if you've seen Jesus spit in his hand, you weren't going, right? But it's foolish faith. That's what God is looking for. Foolish faith. He's not looking for the faith that's out of this world, right? People that put themselves here, etc. He's looking for that one that's willing to do anything to
now we
obtain
didn't
what the
define
goal
it
is.
differently, but okay.
But I hear what you're saying, because I'm applying it into the relationship, like when we speak about patience, right? You're hoping for something, right, that others is telling you that it's not going to happen, and you can miss out, right, believing others. But if you're pointing within yourself, you can identify and use your discernment whether this person is it or not.
Exactly, because you can have foolish faith in God and be where you should be, but don't have foolish faith in a person.
No, I agree.
Right.
In the person.
Human. We're fallible.
Flawed. Yeah.
And to go back to Ty was giving me a word the other day, and I think it goes back to what he's saying right now. And it goes back to the patience and things that you asked. When you are pouring in yourself, I used to always think that you're supposed to always stand right next to your partner, stand behind them. You hover and make sure uplift everything. But I do think that when you get in those situations, like I was saying, accountability, effort, results. One thing is you will notice the gap. You will notice the difference if you keep walking. And they slow down and they taking breaks, and let them take their breaks if they can catch up. Let them do it their way. If I want to walk my 5 miles and I just power through, I don't stop for water, all this other stuff. And they want to walk their 5 miles, but they're going to stop, have lunch, get some water, different things. If we crossing that finish line at the same time, then it don't really matter. It don't matter how they did it. They did it their way, and we still ended up in the same space. But I was worrying. I was making sure I did what I needed to do. And if I keep going and doing what I need to do, I'm still progressing. I didn't lose anything. I didn't lose time.
Exactly.
I didn't slow myself down. None of that. And I gave myself the patience come in. I'm not worrying about. He just
because you have your own journey,
right?
You have
that's the patience right there. But then if he don't cross the line, when you cross the line,
exactly,
then now you know,
right?
Exactly. Because the question is, are y'all going in the same direction?
Right. So that's what I would say. I guess if it's hard because that's not conceptual to like real life, but if you take it to real life, is something like if we're working on finances and we're working on building our wealth or different things like that, and I'm getting these businesses or I'm starting a new job and he's on unemployment and he went through hard times, so let me support him while he's on unemployment.
Yeah.
But there comes a point where you just kind of being a bum now. So
Exactly.
and you recognize that, you see the gap. I think just be mindful of
And that's that patience when you're looking to see when you should start pouring into a person, just giving it that time to kind of see.
And I think it's that again. I definitely think it's the deprogramming in my mind, because it's
I got a question for you too.
Being raised, it's being raised, not necessarily. How do I put it? Pouring into yourself is pouring into y'all.
Yeah.
And that's how it's basically portrayed to women. Like, you pour into your man because you are pouring into y'all.
Right.
It's not pouring to you.
I want to
It's pouring to y'all
Yes.
y'all are as a whole. So it's like, okay, well, if he's struggling, it's a little different on their end, because then it's like, okay, well, if he's struggling, we're struggling.
Right.
So then I need to pour into him to make sure that we're not struggling. When maybe he's just struggling and you're not struggling.
And if you're not pouring into you and you're depleted,
and now you are struggling for real because you stopped pouring into yourself.
And
that's not all the way. I feel like there's a piece in that perspective that's missing, because it's also that he's pouring into you. So you're not pouring into someone, and you should never be empty, because they're also pouring into you. Y'all worrying about each other and balancing out each other.
I want the way I kind of look at it, as far as like pouring into myself, I want to be able to look in the mirror and be like, oh, you are beautiful, you are working to be your best self, just proud, glowing, all of that. And then I want to see my honey bunnies look how he looks at me, like, oh, be proud to say that, oh, that's mine. You know what I mean? That adds value to the union as a whole. If you looking down at yourself and he looking at that's not healthy. That's not healthy. I got a question for you, because we were talking about Matthew and Jesus healing all these folk, and the first thing that I said was, the first thing that Jesus asked is about their faith. If they didn't have the faith that they were going to be healed, they weren't going to get the healing.
Right.
The woman with the issue of blood and all that stuff, we talked about that. Yeah. Okay. So in a sense of having foolish faith with the Father, where it's foolish in man's eyes,
right?
What would you say you have foolish faith in the Father in your own personal life that you believe in God for, if you wish to share? Because we ain't talk about this, but I'm curious to know.
People that know me know I'm crazy. I'm
and the man's definition of crazy, yes.
Right.
But God's definition is fire. You're on fire.
So I think before, because this is something that I did have, and he proved me wrong.
He funny like that.
21 years of my life, I've dealt with almost everything that I can name, right?
Yeah.
So I grew up depressed for 21 years, hated myself, hated people around me, hated my loved ones, etc. So I treated people as such. I was in this dark place of my life, and I remember when I knew I had a call when I was about 14, because I started paying attention to certain different things in my life, and it came to a point. I was so angry. I was a person who was very impulsive. I've done a lot of things that got me in trouble because of how impulsive I was and aggressive that I was. So
probably why you're so patient now.
So I remember one time I was 16, and I came in, and my aunt, who was a spiritual leader for us, she said, God has a word for you. My mom gave me the phone. It was like, look, she said, God wants me to tell you that you may want to get deliverance from that rage you have in your heart, because if you do not do it, it's going to eventually manifest into a murderous spirit. Like, I didn't fully get it. I knew what I was capable of because I knew what I was doing and behind closed doors. So here I am, 21 years old, and I sat in it. I didn't get the deliverance. I sat in it. And I remember at the time, who's my ex-wife now, she used to always say, why don't you just go to church? Why don't you just trust God? God. He was using her to be the voice because I couldn't hear it. And I used to tell him, he can't do this all in one day.
Powerful.
He can't. it's not gonna happen.
Mhm.
I feel this. Like I know what's this. I can't even control
Was
what
it
I have.
unforgiveness, the rage? that
It
stemmed
was
from
more
that?
of the pent up anger, and I hated myself because I forgave the people. I felt like I had every right not to,
powerless.
but God gave me one of those hearts of His own, so it's like I
Yeah.
couldn't held on to anything as much as I wanted to, so it made me
powerful.
more angry.
Oh my God.
And
Thank you, Lord.
it got to where the murderous spirit started to manifest itself in an act,
You're
and
just gonna pop some people out, huh? Take them out, Ty the guy.
and in the moment of rage, something happened to where I heard the voice of God that made me be able to have that strength again to walk away.
Mhm.
And when I walked away, I told him, I said, I need you to fix this. And I go back. I have this dream. I go to the church, and in one day, all the anger and the rage that I pent up and felt for those years, in one day's time, it was all gone.
That
And
one
I
number
remember after it's done, because I cried for about 3 hours.
Aw, the
I was-
outpour.
Yeah.
It takes strength for a man to cry. It's a strong man, guys.
told me up. I ain't gonna
He would have took out Cuzzo on them if he did. I'm telling you right now. I could see the power.
I remember telling her how amazed I was. Like I was like, if I promise you, if gravity wasn't gravity right now, I can fly. That's how light I felt. I didn't know how much weight and pressure that I was holding upon myself until it was all off me. And that is what made me pursue him, because he proved me something that I did not have that type of faith,
Thank you,
about
God.
that required, and he proved me wrong, and it's like, you know what, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try you.
Try
you know what I'm saying?
Jesus.
You want me to have faith? I am for to believe it. Make it happen. And lo and behold, he did.
Amen. And I know there's a lot of other men that are probably feeling that they're in the position that you were in. So I hope they try Jesus too. Try Jesus, y'all. Try
That faith to get you a long way.
Yes, yes.
Long way.
yes. And you've been walking in it ever since.
Ever since. I
And
don't
you've been
question.
elevating and it's been
I don't question
edifying
it.
you ever since.
Even if I don't understand it,
Amen.
I'm gonna trust you, because hey, you've shown me enough.
Amen.
I'm convinced.
Amen. Ty, the guy in the building, Mr. Bodyguard over here. What you got in that pocket? That's why you had them glasses on. Okay. Men in blue.
Got about 238s.
Oh, Lord. I always wanted to go to a shooting range though. So we should all go, because we in Milwaukee, and that might, I don't know, y'all. I just don't know. I just don't know our babies. I just don't know. This city, I don't know. It seems to. Okay, so I remember going to the quick story. I remember going to this place. It was like way out, like wilderness type of, like the small community, and just nothing else around. And we had made a wrong turn. That's how we ended up there. We was on a road trip headed to Ohio from here. And I remember kind of crossing into this small town, and it just immediately felt like a dark cloud. Like immediately, I've never felt nothing like that. And then, when we got there, I could clearly see y'all done all killed some people over here. Y'all done killed each other and each other. Like, it was just really bad. And we hurry up and turned around. Yeah. I feel like, almost starting to feel like, I don't want to see a dark cloud over our city, but with all this domestic violence, these women being killed, these teenagers taking over and stealing cars. Y'all know they stole my car. In total, it's fine. Little cute boys and girls, little cute bad selves. But I pray for this city. I really pray for this city. My nephew was in the city, 20 years old. Bullets don't have no names on them. It don't matter how good of a person you are. Somebody's mother and father was killed the other day. It shouldn't be this common in our city. And why is it common in our city and not common in Waukesha? Yes, other things go on in that area, but you see what I'm saying? Not common in Green Bay, not common in West Dallas, but it's common on the north side, on the south side, on the east side.
No, you literally, I think I forgot who I was talking to, but I was saying even I want to say I was maybe 14 or 15. I have a lot of family who live in Arkansas. So I remember we took a trip and we went to Arkansas. And I remember we were heading back. And to this day, I remember this to this day because I promised from that point on is when I started hearing about a whole lot of things. And we were headed back into the city. We were driving back into the city. And I remember telling my parents, like, y'all don't see that? And they're like, see what? And I'm like, I promise. It's like, is it about the thunderstorm? And they're like, what? Girl,
Spiritual
like,
gifts, girl.
Nah, like, girl, go to sleep. Like, they just shoot it off. And I promise from that point on. So when you said that, like, it's almost like you feel it.
Yeah.
Like people who travel a lot, who travel out of the city and back in and stuff like that, you feel it. It's like you feel the depression,
energy,
you feel depression, you feel the darkness, you feel the murderous spirits. Like you can feel all of that.
Never felt that before.
Yeah.
And the way that they looked at us, I was like, oh, we gotta go. We can't be here at nighttime.
Yeah.
And as soon as we drove off, you could feel
the lift.
Yes. God, you are so good, Lord. You are just so good, Lord. And we just want to magnify who you are in this message and in this world. Amen. Amen. So let's bring it back, y'all. Now, we've all talked about our beautiful fairy tales and the things that the things that God wants for us and the things that we want overall, right? Right. So the number one reason people call it a fairy tale, because all it is just our goals, but people call it a fairy tale because, they're kind of just like, how we going to get it? How we going to get it? Ain't nobody perfect. How we going to get it? Okay. So once you do find that ideal mate, right? You found the person and now you got to have faith because love is risk.
Yes.
Okay. That's the fear of being vulnerable, the fear of giving ourselves to someone, the fear of, being possibly let down and hurt, right? Guess what? It's going to come. The opposition is going to come. You let down because you don't cross the finish line and he over here buying a hot dog at the hot dog stand. Don't mean he's not going to eventually get to the finish line, but you still have a sense of disappointment. Like why you couldn't be right here next to me crossing the finish line at the same time. So now we need to kind of go into how we deal with that when you're faced with a conflict in a relationship, how you kind of deal with that. So I would like y'all to actually share a story here where you may have faced a specific situation in your life in a relationship, even if you want to, highlight a family member or friendship. You had an issue or work related where you felt like you had the opposition, argument, whatever, disagreement, and you guys were able to deal with it. Were you dismissive? Were you empathetic? You know what I'm saying? Preferably relationships. But go on and talk about it. Who wants to start? I'm going to let y'all pick who wants to start. Simon.
I just knew you were.
Go ahead, girl.
Man, okay. I guess I'll talk. I would say relationship wise. Nah, I'll take more or something.
No, go for it. It don't have to
I was
be
gonna say
I'll
make a comment. Yeah, I'll make a comment relationship wise. Relationship wise was more so of me needing to grow and me having to come to the realization that I needed to grow.
Yeah.
So that kind of correlates into the story about me and my dad. Like I told you guys earlier, I grew up daddy's little girl.
Would you say you're looking for someone just like your dad?
No. Sorry, Dad. I love
Most
you.
girls are.
Mr. Gordon, like you.
I'm sorry, Dad. I love you, but no.
Gordon.
I definitely feel like my dad has grown as a person, though.
Yeah.
So I will give him that, which I've told him that. I definitely feel like he's grown. But the dad I knew growing up, no, I am not looking for that at all. I am actually looking for someone probably the opposite of that. Not even gonna lie.
Okay.
Don't
be getting no bad boy now.
No.
We're gonna stay on them.
You
We're
will
gonna
be
stay
watching
on
this.
them.
Understand that.
No, but I will say I will use a story of basically, like I said, I grew up daddy's little girl. And as I gotten older, I don't think we made the connection of, okay, baby girl's not baby girl anymore.
Aw.
Baby girl is getting to be young lady, young woman, grown woman. So I guess just basically how our relationship degressed and then progressed.
Okay.
Like I said, when I turned 18 and I moved out and all those good things, or 19 because I moved out at 19, just me moving out, and it got so bad that I like cut him completely off for like 2 years straight. And I knew he was hurt by it. I was hurt by it too, but I think it was more so of I went through a time where I cut off a lot of people in my life because I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't know what was going on. Like I said, it was that reality check.
Mhm.
Like, okay, the world is not what y'all said it was, so I need everybody to back up so I can figure this out. And that's literally what that time was for me. Like, I just need everybody to back up for a minute. Just leave me be. Let me figure this out. Let me figure out what I want to do. And then I slowly started letting people back into my life. People who I felt like was worth letting back into my life. But I remember when it got to my dad, and I'm like, okay, it's been like 2 years. I should probably reach out, but the pressure, the hurt was like, no. Like, and Ty.
Ty the guy.
Ty was like, yo, go call your dad. And I remember I fought it for a good week straight because I'm like, no, he needs to, he can come find me. And he's like, yo, go call your dad. And I would say that that's definitely the best thing that I've done for our relationship, because when I did call him, like I said, he learned from a whole lot of things. He apologized with a whole lot of things. I still think there's things we need to work on, but our relationship now is definitely father-daughter. You're grown though. Where it wasn't that at one point.
Would you say?
Yes, it's a respect. Like, I respect you as a young woman. I expect you as a grown adult.
Oh,
So I would definitely use that.
but you had to pull apart from him in order for him to
Yes, I
understand
feel
that.
like
Okay.
the relationship went so bad so fast because there was things that he needed to learn that he didn't know at the time.
Right.
There was things I need to
Probably
learn that
wasn't
I
able
didn't
to
know at
give
the
you
time.
that independence.
Yeah, and neither one of us, like, we still have this in common to this day. At that time, neither
Y'all
one of us
stubborn.
could communicate
Mhm.
effectively. So it was more so like, you made me mad, leave me alone.
Mhm.
Instead of, you made me mad, let me tell you, you made me mad and why and what you need
Aw.
to do to not do this no more.
Aw.
And like, now we have that communication to where
Mhm.
it's like hey, I disagree with you about this, but I'm gonna let you do what you do. But I disagree. So when you dealing with me with it, I'm letting you know I don't like that.
No.
So now we have that relationship to where we can do that, and it's fine. I don't have to cut him off. But it definitely was rocky starting back off because it was more so of I was so used to how I grew up to where I felt like I couldn't say nothing.
Mhm.
It was looked at as bad.
You're still daddy's little girl.
Right. And I felt like if I said that you hurt me or you hurt my feelings or I don't like that, it never got resolved. It more so got
disrespectful to your
swept.
parents
Yeah, and
type
it got
of
swept under the
time.
rug. So now
Right.
we definitely deal with it as two adults though.
I
So,
love that. I love that. That's really good. I'm gonna have you come back and really speak to like young women about finding themselves
Mhm.
and walking in their power, walking in their femininity, and still walking in their strength.
Yeah.
When you contacted him, would you say you kind of felt like, because it sounded like before Ty, you felt like calling him would have been like a sign of surrenderance, but it kind of
Yeah.
turned into more strength.
Yes.
It took strength to call.
I felt like, okay. I was thinking about whether I wanted to say this or not.
Say it, girl.
I felt like calling him would be me reverting back to the little girl
That's what,
who
yeah.
ran back to daddy, even though that problem was not fixed.
And see, you not calling him, in his mind, he more so probably was like the little girl. Little
Mhm.
girl, she mad, she ain't calling. But
Mhm.
you reaching out and having the type of conversation that you did, made him even more respect you as a woman.
Mhm.
You know, and be like, okay, I gotta set those boundaries. I can't, tell her what I want
to do,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Then
Yeah.
take her for ice cream, Lord.
Mhm. No, really, that's how it was. It was more so of if we got into it.
Yeah,
Like, I wish my mom was here to this day because she'd tell you she was always the mediator.
yeah.
And so it would always be, okay, I'm mad. I'm in my room, door shut. Maybe an hour or two goes by and I get a, hey, baby girl, I got some ice cream. You want some ice cream? I got you some
Aw.
balloons. I got you some flowers. But we didn't talk out the situation.
Right.
So all that happened was all of those problems
Yeah.
went under the rug.
And men can
And they
sweep
kept
things under the
building
rug
up.
and keep
Mhm.
on going. And women is gonna fester. We can't do that. We can't do that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Simone, sharing your story, Queen. I'm gonna have you back again very soon. Very, very soon. Donalisha.
Yeah.
Hey, Queen. What was a time where you went through adversity, argument, what have you, worked through it or didn't work through it? What's a story you can tell us we can learn from?
Yeah, I was trying to think if it was a relationship story too, like,
It's okay if
and,
it's not.
but I think I would go with my family, a situation that kind of had, is it's kind of telling me a lot more about reciprocation and in that situation I had. So some years back when I did get married, we had it set up in a way that we couldn't afford the masses of our family, a very large family. And so the kids, we had already thought, or at least I did not want it to feel like they were back burner. So I thought about what I would have wanted as a kid. I don't really care too much about weddings. We can have some fun with our cousins, all this other stuff. So we kind of set it up for the kids to all do something and then the wedding. But I wanted to get the buy-in of those aunts and uncles and things. And I did not. They were, some I think tend to feel, and this is projection, I think tend to feel that rejection in situations like that, or the minute you start saying something, they might interpret it as a personal attack or
Yeah.
internalize it. But I was trying to communicate effectively, give the why, and I think there was a lot of people throwing fuel on the fire that we could not all hear each other. So that it happened how it happened, but you think situations like that, they end and people are like, oh yeah, we move on. But years later, my brother ended up getting married. And this was during COVID, like the height of COVID in 2020. And he had to also have a small wedding. Now I was very removed from it because I was pretty sick at the time. So I was not a part of all of the planning or kind of really consulting on anything. But he did speak to other people and was trying to figure out what to do about like the size of their wedding, that's something they can afford. And unfortunately went a similar way with restricting the amount of people at the wedding after I think it had felt like it was going to be a bigger thing. So it's always hard to go back and have that type of conversation. When he did, it was the same ones that kind of started more of like an uproar or felt that same like frustration.
I wouldn't want them at my wedding anyway.
Right.
Now, the
Come here
funny
with that
thing is, one of the main people that was kind of feeling so offended and had like a whole boycott of my wedding actually attended, and we had a good time. Like she crashed my wedding.
She came anyway.
Yeah, and
Okay.
with some of her kids, and I didn't mind it because it was never a personal attack. It was always about the space and what we could afford.
But
and
more, more. I think my thing with that is the intent behind that. Are you
Right.
doing it to be like, I'm gonna do what I want and I'm gonna come anywhere? Are you doing it because you're
You wanna
like, she
show-
doesn't realize how much I love her and how much this means to me to be able to see her, have this union, so mine
and I
would be the
chose
intent
to
behind
believe
it.
it was
Yes.
positive.
Okay.
And
that's good.
anybody
'Cause who gonna
could
come,
you could
baby?
choose to do something. You could choose to feel negative about
Yeah.
it, but like we always have that choice. But I chose to feel it was positive. But then coming years later, it somehow became you put him up to this.
It's
You-
more
you
entitled.
did
Some people
this,
feel
you
just
know?
entitled instead of being empathetic to the situation and
Yeah.
understanding.
And
Guys.
so one of my biggest things is I don't like people lying on my name.
Amen.
I don't like people saying things without any type of, it's just like wild theories and different things, and that's what became of this situation. Now in this, I had to work on myself a lot because I already saw the capacity of this individual to really throw fire, grease on the fire, really to try to sauce things up and all of that. And
I just don't
in that
understand.
moment, I had tried to fix it and say, well, you know, I could do a party or something for the kids. And it became a whole big thing. I created a group message to all of the adults to let them know my brother can't afford this level of our family to attend. So let's do this kids party thing. I
You should
won't
ask
even
them to pay.
I won't even go. I was offering to pay all of that, you know, just trying to problem solve, right?
Yeah.
But it
You better than me.
got worse. It got worse because I had to really recognize what was really going on behind it. They didn't want a solution. You know, some people, they are looking for a reason to fight. And I learned that later because I can be empathetic to a fault. And this is where it comes back to, I think Ty likes to say, you know, you pour into yourself. And I was always saying selfishness be sometimes selfishness is good. But he says focus on self. And if I had focused on myself a bit more, I think some of that conflict would have died down on its own because it's like a kid throwing a tantrum.
Exactly.
If you give them any energy,
yes,
bad or
honey bunny.
good, they're getting something out of it. And for me, I wasn't seeing that. I was like, I'm going to give her space and I'll come back to it. I'm going to give her space. I'm going to come back to it. So I'm sitting here chasing a person who means me harm, you know, and all for the sake of she's family.
Right.
And we have to kind of stop giving people so much of our energy, investing in them if they don't have the same intention for our lives.
Exactly.
She had no intention of reciprocating. I don't even think I was invited to. I don't know about many weddings in our family that have really occurred, but I think it got to a point. She took to Facebook. She cursing out the whole family, trying to put everybody's business out there, and I could have. Somebody go low, you can always go lower.
Yeah.
You want to go low, we can go to hell. You know,
You gotta go
take
that
the
low.
train together, right? But like you can't drive yourself down if you
Absolutely.
keep on trying to react and respond to somebody who
Right.
you don't need to be giving your energy. And I kept coming back to her, crawling back to her, apologize to a point where she was pulling me into group messages and trying to shame me, pulling me into group messages and talking down on everybody, going to like, that's where you just have to realize there's a difference in maturity here. First of all,
yes,
there's a difference in the love that I had and wanted for my family and always held my family here automatically because you blood. That don't apply to everybody.
Right.
You can't apply that to everybody. And it goes to relationships too. As much as you love this person, what exactly do they mean for your life? You know, what do they want for you? Somebody who loves you really shouldn't be tearing you down from your accomplishments. The type of thing that she did was say that I think I'm better than everybody because I have a degree, which makes me start saying, oh, but I'm not that smart.
That's
and
what
I don't feel that way. I would
had
never.
a feeling. You had this just this feeling to just want to make everybody else feel better. I just want to make everybody, as soon as you told them what it is, your desires for your wedding, and they went against that in any way, shape, or form, that's all the more evidence of why you made the decision in the first place. Not only that, when they bring that type of fire into it, they're just revealing their character, their intents. You know what I'm saying? Who they are. And then when we go to hell with them, now we revealing that, you know, we're becoming the same thing. So, but your
toxic and things that are toxic, that poison will fester and
Yes.
spread.
Yeah.
And you have to cut it off. And that's one of the things, that is a situation that I had last year. And it was like awakening for me.
Mhm.
So many people that I have positioned
She already
in
felt some
my
type of way
life.
about you. Mm-hmm.
Right. And
Mhm.
so many people I've positioned in my life, I've given this energy out to. They don't need to be there.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting up here like, oh, she keeps tagging me in things, and
Why
the
you
fuck-
want to be there
Block-
so bad
block
anyway?
her. Everybody was like,
block
quick,
her.
quick, block this woman. What are you doing? Block
Right.
her. And I'm like, but I don't want her to be mad at.
No.
And she's sitting here thinking about you, all this energy
Exactly.
you putting into. So that was one of the things. Like, it was very hard for me because I'm a people person and I'm a people pleaser.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Mm-hmm.
And that takes a lot to sit and start pushing back from people and saying, I'm not
If you
going to
feel
give
that
you
way,
anymore.
then you sit over there and feel that way.
Right. And that goes back to being lied on too. Like, then I'm like,
Mhm.
oh no, that's not. But people are going to have perceptions of you, and they keep coming.
Girl,
And it took for
where
that
the choir?
situation.
Jesus. Go ahead. It
Yeah.
took for that situation.
Yeah, it took for that situation to really give me a reality check as
Yeah.
well, to say everybody not gonna like you.
Yeah.
And no matter what you do, good or bad, anybody can find some way to twist your actions, your
Yes,
intent.
Lord.
They will speak on your name however they
Mhm.
feel like it, and you cannot allow that to become any part of your person or internalized by you.
Mhm.
And sometimes you do have to just keep moving.
Yes, I have many stories that are very similar to that as well. And I think they are meant to grow us. That's it, and that's all. Because you're absolutely right. Everybody is not gonna like us, and I had to realize it too. There was a situation where I basically had to fight back with my words, or somebody was throwing dirt on my name, so I could throw dirt on their name, which I had plenty dirt to throw on. But instead, I allowed them to stand tall. They were trying to stand tall on my back. I allowed them to stand tall and speak whatever it was that they were speaking, do whatever they need to do. Anybody that's close enough to me, they're going to know who I am. That's why
right.
the people close to you kept telling you to block that girl. She feels some type of way because in her mind, oh, she thinks she's all that. No, baby, you think I'm all that.
And I will add to that, because that was part of it too, thinking that the people close to me, because I've had situations similar to that where the people close to me did not come to my defense, and that tells you there's more people that need to fall away in your life.
Absolutely.
So,
oh yeah, Lord
the-
Jesus, I've been through it, girl. I've been through the fire. Those type of situations show you who people are, who show you who's who. And it takes time. I bet nothing good came back on that particular person. Other
other people had to take a step back from her as well.
Exactly.
And I think a big thing as far as timing is, I realized for myself that if I kept going back to her as it was, we may never come back together because of how I started to feel towards her. So I had to cut it where it was, so that there could be, maybe if she work on what she needs to work on, there might be a time where we do come back together. But it was going to be irreparable.
Don't do it. Stop. Get out of that.
Don't hold your breath.
Get out
I
of
know.
that. I don't care how much growth she has. She grows in her own direction. Once somebody shows you that, believe them. Everybody they don't need to be close to you. They don't need to be your friend. They don't need to be at your birthday party. She showed you it once. Don't allow her to show you again, because it's going to be magnified. So we hope that we pray that she grows and, she gets her healing and all of that good stuff. And have y'all ever had a close relationship, like close in the past?
No, this is
Then
a relative.
No, rather no.
It is a situation where some people you're gonna be you have to coexist.
And
You're
that's
gonna be in the
cool.
same
She could be at the
spaces,
family
so-
reunion. Hey, how you doing? And if she say hi, great. And if she don't, but that's too much. I don't even like the conversation. That's taking up too much of your energy. It took up a little bit of mine.
I got a lot of that. I can tell you that. Because when I did that cutoff, like I said, I allow certain people to come back into my life. Everybody not allowed back into my life.
Because y'all are people that pour into everything. Can y'all see the hands? That y'all pour into everything that surrounds y'all. Y'all are. What you touch gets better, right? So anything near you needs to be pouring into you, if not in the same fashion, at least a little bit.
Right.
What you pouring into me should make me feel better. It shouldn't make me question myself. It shouldn't make me, you know what I'm saying, think less of myself or double think that. No, cut that off. You're doing yourself a disservice. I see the people pleasing part. Look in that mirror and please her. Please yourself. Because you got some good energy. You got some good energy to give. So deposit it into you. Leave whatever that is over there. She needs to heal on her own. That ain't got nothing to do to you with you. You didn't do nothing to her. You didn't look bad on her. You had a limit. You made a decision. If you're a responsible, good person, you're gonna understand that and you're gonna keep it moving. And if you feel some type of way, you feel some type of way to begin with. So I made the right decision. That was confirmation you made the right decision. Go ahead, Ty. Ty the guy. Woo!
I wanted the claps, but
I was gonna, they all close by each other. What's this one, boy? Okay.
So I'm going to approach this in a marriage sense, because again, that was the longest relationship I've ever been in. My only relationship I've ever been in. So this came at a time where we were freshly married. A year prior, I'm in prayer. God tells me that he's about to take me through something. You know, financially, I'm about to lose everything. He says, I'm about to allow everything to be taken from you. And during this process, I want you to trust me. And I want y'all to come together. And it came to a point to where we had to move in with my sister. She had a bigger house. I was helping support her family, a mother of 5 kids, single mother. And it was working out at first. And then it began not to work out because the enemy got into it. And I remember that she took it, you know, she took it hard. I took it even more harder, of course, being a man. And it was a time where conflict started to happen between the household with my sister and with her.
Ooh, 2 women in the household, Lord.
Yeah, and I'm in
a lot of conflict resolution.
I'm in the middle. So it came a time where I remember waking up, right? And around this time, I wasn't working. So I dedicated myself to the duties of God, try to be faithful in everything. So I'm on my way to church. Usually I'm on time, but this time God told me, no, stay back. He said, send your family. I want you to stay back. I didn't understand why in the moment. I didn't get it. I'm sitting there looking like, you telling me not to go to church? Okay, but I'm gonna obey.
About to go watch the game.
So probably 10 minutes later, my sister walks down and she just begins to just drag our name to the ground. And in large part, a lot of it wasn't true. And I paused for a moment and I'm like, oh, you want me to stay back for this? And in large part, my sister was one of the people that I forgave, which was on my top 2 lists of hate towards her and my mom. So basically, he says right after that, how do you feel? I said, I still love her. I forgive her. I still love her. He said, go upstairs and tell her that. So I walks upstairs and my sister's light skinned. Anybody know her? When she seen me, she turned pale.
Aww.
And she know I'm usually faithful. So she didn't think I was there. And I said, I want you to know that I love you and I forgive you, right? With however you feel, I apologize and I'll try to make it better on my end, right? So me and her hugged, you know, she's crying. We hugged. Now I have to go back to the wife. And she overheard some things at a certain point in time that she did not like. So she already had, she was more in the flesh about
disdain,
it. Yeah. Like, you know, you're talking about my husband, you know, like this, don't think like that. Kind of didn't understand that because it was time but anyway.
She said the same thing 2 weeks
Thank
ago.
you.
I can say it, she can't.
Thank you. So when she got home back from after church, I had a talk with her. You know, I pulled her outside. I didn't want to have it in the house because I didn't want it to potentially be something, and my sister overheard it and it becomes something messy. So
that's wisdom.
I go outside and I'm trying to talk to her, you know, and like, look, we know what the truth is. You know, God knows what the truth is, and let's just go accordingly. You know, we don't have to react according to how she feel about things.
Right.
You know, even if, you know we didn't do anything wrong, and we're there, we're supporting, we're doing our part. Still just try to make it better. You know, and because at the end of the day, it's not our house, and we still have to dwell here until God says otherwise. Obviously, He have us here for a reason.
Right.
She wasn't trying to hear none of that, and in that moment, it's like I feel personally that I would have had the right to feel something personally, because this is my blood sister. You know, this is my blood sister who's doing this, and if I can forgive her, why can't you? And in that moment, I found myself frustrated. I got frustrated, super frustrated, and God started working in the moment, because a minister at the church ended up pulling around the corner and pulled me to the side and was like, look, God wanted me to get out the car and come this way. And he's like, I didn't know why until I seen you out here yelling. I was yelling like you can hear. I was frustrated, like I was through with it, because I felt, you know, I'm so calm. I'm so calm, and I feel like when it's at a time where, you know, I feel I have to go up like that, I go up. Right. It was like one of those moments, like, look, regardless on how you feel, this is how we got to move. And for the sake of peace,
that's a good leader.
The Bible says, with all that is within you, follow peace with all men. And this is what He said. I'd rather you give place to wrath than for you to compromise yourself. And this is what I was kind of trying to tell her, you know, in a moment, but she wasn't trying to hear it. So the minister, he pulled me to the side. Well, it was the elder, pulled me to the side and was like, look, right now it's not a good time for y'all to talk. He was like, you heated right now, and she feels how she feels. Y'all not gonna get nowhere. He said, take time, you know, and then he said, come back to later and figure it out. I'm like, man, y'all don't get it, man. I'm frustrated, you know. This is how I'm talking to him. You know, he said, I understand. You know, you have every right to be frustrated, but right now it's just not the time. And I go home, I get it instantly inside the closet. Like, I don't even want to. We have to dwell in the same room. We confined into this one room out of respect. I don't like to be everywhere in people's houses. So I'm in this room, and now I'm in the closet. She's in the bedroom, and I'm just in my heart. I'm like, she don't get it. She don't get it. Why can't she see it? You know what I'm saying? That this is the way she's going to handle this is going to cause even more problem for me.
Right.
And what I got going on with my family now.
Right.
I'm already not close with them. This is going to make everything worse.
And
then when she put us out, then what? You know, it's like it can turn into something very messy.
Right.
And I'm in the closet and I'm combating with God back and forth. Like I'm not coming to her.
You trying to cover her and make sure she good, and she messing up everything.
You're making the job hard.
You're making the job hard. Yeah.
So, and the Bible says a foolish woman can go and tear her house down.
Exactly.
In the middle of the building. He said the foolish woman come knock the sticks out the man. Why are you trying to? So I'm combating with God. Like, look, she ain't gonna get it. I don't got time for her. Matter of fact, I ain't saying nothing to her. It's gonna be what's gonna be. She want to be mad. I'm gonna be mad.
Gonna be mad. Me
and
too.
Dealing with God, man, he'll get you. So it was always this thing that when me and her had conflict, I would feel it in my heart.
Yeah.
It's as if God took His hands, dug in there, and squeezed it with everything in Him. I felt the pressure, like I could barely breathe. It was that hard. So in my stubbornness, He was breaking it in the same time in the process. And I said, I don't want to do this, but I know that I need to do this for the sake of our relationship. So I'm going to get up and do it, you know, but I need you in this whole thing, because I don't believe that if I do it my way again and trying to present it, it's going to be difficult. So at a time where this is how I always did it from that point on, you got your opinions, I got my opinions, right, about things. I'm gonna see it, you're gonna see it, right? But we both two people who involve God into our lives. So we should be able to take his word and put it in the middle.
Ain't that so simple, y'all? It's like the simplest thing
It sounds
in our
simple.
lives.
It sounds simple, but to perform it, that's a different thing. And I told her, like, look, instead of me start doing the talking now, what we need to do, I went right into the word and let God do the talk.
Yeah.
And at the end, she still kind of had her way about it, you know, but at the end of the day, I let it be between her and God. At that point, I knew that I did my job. I didn't, at this point, held it in my heart, let it go. And I wasn't okay with how things were or the direction that it was going, but I decided to trust God with it. If I laid it out there, he's going to do the work. And it's not my job to force it. It's not my job to put it into your mind, force feed your mind that this is it, take it, adopt it, and perform it. Like, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let God do that with you. And
I'm glad y'all lay together though.
my love kept me, you know, as long as it did, 9 years.
Yeah.
And
because you gotta be with somebody that's walking with you.
And that's, I think, was the beginning. I won't even say that was the beginning, but that was like something that added to what I already knew.
Yeah, because if you deal with this small situation like that, you finna be you facing giants in the long run. This ain't nothing. You don't even know how to treat people how they supposed to be treated. That's the foundation of his work. That's the foundation of everything. You know, that's the part I'm good at. I know how to treat people how they supposed to be treated. You know, I ain't good at everything, but yeah.
But the solution in that was to be able to learn, right? Yeah. To understand that I can't force, you know, the decisions on anybody, right? It's their job to accept it and do as they please with it.
Yes.
And I was in much more like, okay, I can walk away now knowing that I did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
In the middle, I got stubborn and I was going to stay and do the same thing you were doing. Mm-hmm. But I realized again, because that's how God deals with me, I allow him to, that if I'm in the wrong, I need to correct it. And that was the moment where I was saying, you know what, this is how I'm gonna handle it from now on. Right. And this is why I meant earlier by a woman covering me. It's like you don't understand the essentials to the relationship until you actually invest that type of thought, you know, that mind towards it. Like, okay, I need to do this. And this is not only for me, but it would actually benefit him. It would benefit us in the long run and in our position with God. So
right. If I can't see this man, I know y'all can't either, with anybody that can handle that small situation honorably. Like, you know what I mean? I understand there's so many emotions behind it, but that means you don't know how to handle your emotions. You're not emotionally mature and intelligent, which is what somebody like you absolutely needs. You did your job by presenting the layout and how we should operate, you know, acting accordingly. And she was going against that. Y'all ain't never gonna build nothing with that type of mindset, butting at each other.
And I would say too,
Jesus.
I agree. It's the emotional maturity. I think it goes both ways too. Mm-hmm. Like, women can be with men that are emotionally immature or just very reactive and expressive, which is kind of a personality type to be expressive, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But it has to be contained to a certain degree and in the right place. You know, you let those things happen in the right place. There's a time and a place to cry, and there's a time and a place to you know, growl and put on that you know, depth and
the armor and all that. Yeah. And you can be mad at somebody. God didn't say you can't be mad. He was Jesus was pissed off. He flung tables and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's okay to have those emotions, but he didn't flip a man. You know what I mean? You can still treat people how they're supposed to be treated and acknowledge those feelings and, you know, all that good stuff. So
it's
anybody got time.
Understanding the nuance of that. Yeah.
tired. I'm tired. This world.
I'm with
What
you.
is y'all doing? We just need to duplicate everybody up here, Jesus. Y'all need to listen. Just listen. It's not that difficult. I'm gonna tell you a quick story, and then I'm gonna ask y'all about the ingredient y'all gonna put in the pot. We're gonna wrap it up. So my quick story, I'm gonna make it real quick. It's not that quick. Make it real quick. I kind of shared a little bit about me dating a comedian, guys. And you know, we were together for 2 years. When I tell you this is a really good man, this is a really good man to his core. Okay. And I understand that he operated off of emotions. Okay. We had broke up, of course. And he honestly, like 2 years later, he decided to do a comedy show about your girl, about me. Now, me, I was trying to be his friend. I knew his feelings was hurt and all that stuff. But I was trying to be his friend and be encouraging to him. You know, I bought a ticket to the show. To the comedy show. You know, it was his birthday comedy show. And I was really, you know, I called him like, you know, be funny today and all that good stuff. Child, he really just let me have it. They purposely wanted me at the show, purposely put me in the front row, purposely. No. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He was like, everybody thinks you're good to date and you're not good to date. You're a good woman, though. But this and this and that, you know, talked about, you know, my big old bottom and all type of stuff. Talked about my son, Lord, all type of stuff, right?
Not the baby.
Now I could have not the baby, Jesus. Now I should have threw the shoe at him right there as soon as he mentioned my son, but you know, I don't give the same energy that people give us. Now I do believe this is a good person. I do not stump on people, even if people try to stump on me. I just don't do it. Why? Because when you pop people, the universe pops you back. Mm-hmm. So if I would have popped him, the universe would have popped me back. So I didn't pop him. Okay. What I did was I waited patiently after the show to speak to him directly. I don't need to make a scene. Mm-hmm. I don't need to do any of that. But you know who I am. So I'm going to speak to you directly. Okay? He wouldn't speak to me directly. He was doing a whole bunch of other stuff. He wouldn't speak to me directly. Long story short, the next day he apologized to me. So he made fun of me publicly. He apologized to me privately. Okay. Even then, I still, you know, kept my distance. And you just showed me that it was refreshing to me because I was like, I feel better about letting this friendship go. Now I know, you know, we can't be friends. Thank you for this. I was actually happy. You know, God showed me the light. Okay. Not supposed to be my friend, Lord. So, he did all that publicly, apologized privately. Okay. I handled the situation with poise. A lot of speaking bad on my name and all that stuff. But guess what? Same situation. If you're close to me, you know me. And if you think anything else, then that's on you to think whatever you want to think. It is not my job out here to correct your thought process or your opinion of somebody that you don't know personally. That is not my job. Mm-hmm. Okay. 5 days ago, he inboxed me. I miss you. What's wrong with people? What's wrong with people? What do you miss? I don't understand. Do another show. But it's all about how you handle things. You know, I could have did my own comedy show, Lord, because there's a little comedian up in here. I could have, you know, been trying to attack people on social media. Didn't do that. You know, going back and forth on that social media thing, could have done all that. I don't do that.
Right.
Nor should y'all. Right. Y'all are giving y'all energy to the wrong things. Mm-hmm. Even a person who attacked me in that type of way, who knew I was a good person but was operating from a place of hurt, even he knew that he needed to apologize. Mm-hmm. Even years later, he said, I miss you. Why? Because what you got from me was good things. Mm-hmm. Okay. It just, you know, we had our time of ending, which is okay. You learn from it and you
Right.
grow from it, or you're gonna stay stuck.
Right.
Yeah. So all the bad things that happen to us, all the opposition that we face, he needs to get his butt back in. You know, the enemy means for it to destroy us, and God means for it to develop us. We choose which one it's going to be. We should do a part 2. It's going to be super fun. I hope you guys come back. Maybe I'll have some food, some snacks. You know, we'll see. So thank y'all